I made a list. I took every single book I've ever read in my entire life and I organized it by genre. And then I picked my favorite from every single genre. So I have a list. It's what, 56 books long, 56 genres. And I wanted to go through it with you. I was thinking that maybe you would find something that you like and that you would like to read. And yeah. And if you have read it, you can tell me about it, and or you could read it and then come back and tell me, you know. I made everything alphabetical because it, I don't know, it just kind of tickled my brain. But let's start. So first is absurdist fiction. I wrote it on a piece of paper because otherwise I would forget the authors' names, and I just kind of wanted to make sure that I have them out of like respect, you know, because I can't remember all these authors' names off the top of my head. So yeah, if I'm just looking down, it's because I have this list here. So the first is absurdist fiction with The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. This one is really interesting. You've probably read it. I know a lot of people like have at least read this in high school or when they were younger or trying to get into classics. But The Metamorphosis, you know, this man, he wakes up one day and finds that he's been turned into a giant bug. It's a good delve into a person's role in society and in their family when a person can no longer take part in work or in society. Maybe they get really sick or injured, then they might as well be a giant bug, and their family can think of their worth as being less than it used to be, and they can feel isolated and othered. You could also just read this book literally with no deeper thought. It's just a man turning into a bug. That's entertaining as well. There's a Deftones song where the lyric is, "I saw you change into a fly." You don't have to read any deeper into it than that. It's just, okay, a person turns into an animal. Yeah, but that one's a good one. It's not that long. You should check it out. Next is Adventure, and this is The Call of the Wild by Jack London. A dog from California gets dog napped and gets taken all the way north to Alaska, where they're doing some mining there and all that. And the dog starts giving in to its natural instincts and joins or leads a wolf pack. It's been so long since I read this, but this is a book that when I finished it, I still remember. It's like a core memory. I was sitting there. I was like 15. I was sitting there at the table, and life was just going on around me. Everyone was talking and doing their things, and I was sitting there thinking, how can the world just keep going on like normal? And I'm sitting here right now, just changed. I'm not the same person that I was before I read this book. I don't know if I would still feel that way now, much later, but that is how it hit me at the time, so I definitely recommend it. Yeah. Next is autobiography. And this one is a strange one. It is The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash, written by Grandmaster Flash. Growing up, I was big into hip hop. I did a lot of breakdancing. I did a lot of freestyle rapping. I was kind of in that crowd, and I was just reading books on the hip hop masters and all that. And yeah, Grandmaster Flash is interesting. He had a lot of technical knowledge. He's basically the one who created, like, who made the turntable into the instrument that it is today. He did a he created a bunch of different techniques for DJing essentially. Uh, Gosh, I think there is a different term for it, but I can't remember it right now. Yeah, but that one's interesting. He talks about the struggles of the music industry and how the pioneers get shafted and they make no money, and at the same time he's dealing with his drug addiction. If you're interested in hip hop, or you just want to read about an interesting person in general, I definitely recommend you pick that one up. Next is Children's Adventure, and it's Rikki Tikki Tavi by Rudyard Kipling. Not gonna lie, I do not remember the details of the plot of this. I remember that it's about a British family that goes to India, and then there's these two like snakes that are going to attack them, and then a mongoose protects them. And I know that it's not just a straight story like that. There is some like deeper message about the UK and India and all that. I'll have to go back and read it, but I remember liking it enough that, for children's fantasy, or sorry, children's adventure, it was always my favorite. Next is children's fantasy, and it's The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams Bianco. This is a touching story, a really touching story about this stuffed rabbit that eventually becomes real, through love and believing. And this rabbit is dirty and scuffed and torn up, and it's still worthy of love. If you could check it out yourself, it's really short. Maybe, even as an adult, it's never too late to just check out a children's book. There's always some charm, and it'll take you 10 minutes to read. Or maybe you're a parent, or you have a kid or a younger sibling, and you want to read it to them. This one is a really good one. I recommend it a lot. Children's picture book, that's next. And it is This Pigeon, or The Pigeon Has to Go to School by Mo Willems. Hilarious story. Hilarious. I think it's actually a more modern one in the pigeon series. I don't know why. I've just this pigeon is just so funny to read about. I don't read much or any children's stories anymore, except for the pigeon books. I just think they're hilarious. Yeah. It's another one. If you are looking for good children's literature or children's books, definitely get the pigeon books. Next is Coming of Age, and I picked The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stefan Chbosky. I might be saying that wrong. Yeah, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. You're an introvert, you're coming of age, everything feels so different. The main character is going through all of the real struggles of being a teenager. The author did a really good job with this story by making the teenage experience actually feel real. Like, actual teenagers they're wrestling with all of these tough things, whether it be like, should I try drugs at a party, or sex, or this or that, or where a lot of teen books can shy away from that or gloss over it. This one had a really realistic take on mental health, and it didn't romanticize mental health. There was a trend during the early 2010s where stories were, maybe not intentionally, but they were slightly romanticizing mental health, where readers would think, oh, the person fell in love because they have cancer, so maybe if I had cancer, I would finally fall in love too. And this book doesn't do that, which is great. Really great book. I read this book in one day. Like, I just sat down, read it straight through, and it's stuck with me ever since. Next is contemporary literary fiction. And I've read a lot of lit fic, but not any contemporary, not much at least. And my favorite is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Now, when I say it's my favorite, that is a very tenuous position because I love this book and I hate this book. Like, there's so much wrong with this book. I don't agree with the author's views on therapy. I do agree with the critiques that the book is it's essentially trauma porn. I do agree with that because you can feel the author just reaching her hand in and controlling the characters like actors on a stage play or whatever. It doesn't After a while it starts feeling disingenuous. But all that being said, I don't know, I still loved it. I still found it very moving. I found it very it just affected me. It also is cathartic to read about just the darkest suffering. I mean, a lot of people can suffer way worse than Jude, obviously, but it's still nice in a weird way to read about someone else going through a hard time, and then for me to feel like, okay, I've gone through milder levels of that, so I don't feel so alone with what I've gone through. Yeah. It's one of those things that if you get it, you get it. Hopefully you do. Well, hopefully you don't, but if you... let's move on. Cosmic Horror. The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. This was interesting. I read this a couple months ago. What is it? This man, he starts unraveling the mysteries, and he's going through papers, and he starts realizing that there's this cult, and there's this larger creature, and he realizes that, the world is a lot bigger than he thinks it is, and that at the end of the day you are microscopic, and in the span of the universe you are essentially nothing. Which, yeah, I mean, I figured that out as a kid, and it's not like anything super deep. But it's good. There was some mild racism in the story, and I think that just has to do with the time that the story was written. Whether that's excusable or not, I don't have an answer. What is yours? I would like to know. Very creepy, very descriptive, very poetic. I liked it. I haven't read any other H.P. Lovecraft, but I definitely would. Good stuff. Next is Crime Thriller, and I chose Lamb to the Slaughter by Roald Dahl. Short story, really great. I recently had to read this in Swedish for my Swedish class. Yeah, a perfect murder. A woman kills her husband and just perfectly gets away with it. You should totally read it and see how it happens, or you've probably already read it. This is another one where most people have read it, just like stumbled across it or something. It's really short. Gosh, it's so good. It's like the perfect murder story. Crime Thriller. I just did that. I'm an idiot. Cyberpunk, Ghost in the Shell 2, in a sense, After the Long Goodbye by Masaki Yamada. This, so in the Ghost in the Shell franchise, there's multiple movies, but in between the first and the second animated movie, this book is a standalone story. You don't need to know anything about Ghost in the Shell to read this book. You could just read it on your own as a standalone. The cyborg detective, he's trying to find his dog, and there's questions about, do I have a soul? Did I ever have a soul? I have dreams. What does that mean? If I'm a cyborg, am I human? Stuff like that. It's it's poetic. It's if you are familiar with the Ghost in the Shell universe, then it grapples a lot with that existentialism. If you have never gotten into Ghost in the Shell, you should at least check out the standalone complex anime. That's good stuff. But anyways, we're here about books. Next is dark fantasy. Dark fantasy is one of my favorite genres. There's so many good stories out there, not only in literature, but also in anime and manga as well. But I digress. My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna von Veen. Girl has a spirit that follows her around, and she gets brought into a psych place because she's suspected of a murder. And there's the psychiatrist who's asking her about this, and the book is her retelling the story about her and the supernatural entity that's following her around. And it's an unreliable narrator. Is the spirit even there? Is it real? Is it not? This is a great story. This has so much moodiness. It's such a vibe. It's a great sapphic story. Yeah, there's a lot to love in this one. I would read it again right now. It's that good. Next is dystopian. Hunger Games. I don't even need to explain it. Everybody should just know what the Hunger Games is. I haven't read another dystopian quite that good. Excuse me. Next is epic fantasy. Lord of the Rings. Again, it needs no explanation. I have not read an epic fantasy yet. I have not read much epic fantasy. I know that there are fantasy book channels on YouTube that they just that's primarily what they read. It's kind of crazy. Next is erotic paranormal romance, and I chose Court of the Vampire Queen. This was a surprise. I really like vampires, and I like the cover of the book, so I was like, I'm just gonna read it just because I like the cover. And this book is about a girl who, she's related to this vampire lord, and she's used as a pawn, to get kids and stuff like that. But then she ends up falling in love with the people that are supposed to use her. It's very wholesome. It's very plotless, basically. There is a plot, but it's so minimal. It's just in the background. This book is 5% plot. It's essentially just a reverse harem. It's kind of crazy. It's essentially just smut, but with vampires and blood play and a very wholesome story. If that sounds good to you, definitely check it out. Next is fantasy, and my favorite is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. It's been a while since I read this, but let's see. A girl makes a bargain for immortality, but the monkey's paw is that anyone who sees her and then looks away, they immediately forget about her. So she's essentially invisible. Great story, very poetic, very touching, very memorable. There is a good sense of chemistry between her and the devil thing that she made the deal with. Yeah. It's a book about a girl who is easily forgotten, and I myself will never forget her. And even though she's a fictional character, I hope she knows that. And you should read it too, and maybe you'll never forget her either. Next is Fantasy Heist. Now, I have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. The Six of Crows duology is literally perfect. Like, literally perfect. Both of those books, I would give 6 out of 5 stars. I was surprised. I was super surprised. Because I've read all of Leigh Bardugo's books that have to do with the Grishaverse. All of them. Every short story, the comic, everything. And none of them even come close to the Six of Crows duology. Like, what she created with Kaz and the group is just above and beyond her normal work. I don't know what was in the water when she was writing these books, but yeah, read them. You won't regret it. Gothic fiction, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This was incredibly poetic and emotional, and yeah, I did a long video about this before. Yeah, this is. Have you seen the new Frankenstein movie? It kind of captures the angst and the turmoil. Gosh, Frankenstein is such a sympathetic character. I really feel bad for him. He's such a perfect metaphor for anybody who feels othered in any way. You know, whether you're handicapped or you're queer or you're a minority or, you know, it's just anybody. There's so much that can be said about Frankenstein. Gothic horror is next, and my favorite was, or is, The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. This one is super creepy. It's really old, but it still holds up. I have it right over there. Yeah. This guy kills another guy just because he doesn't like the way that his eye looks, like a vulture's eye. And then it just kind of goes through all of his panic and his paranoia after the fact. It's really short. Oh gosh, it's so visceral. This is what really puts Edgar Allan Poe up at the top of horror like that. If you haven't read it, go read it. It'll take you 10 minutes. It's really short, really great. Yeah. Gothic romance. My favorite is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. This one was a little mixed for me. It is my favorite in the genre, but there are things that I don't like about it, plot-wise. Nothing to do with the book itself. The writing is great. It's very moody, very claustrophobic. There's a lot of atmosphere. There's a plot twist in the middle that really catches you off guard. Great stuff. Great stuff. Historical adventure. It's Pirates with an exclamation mark by Celia Reese. It has been a long time since I read this, but this girl, she escapes with her slave and they become pirates. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that right. And it's not like the Disney Pirates of the Caribbean. This is grittier, it's more female focused. Yeah. I should reread this, but I remember liking it. I mean, I remember liking it enough that when I look at all of the historical adventures, it's my favorite. So you should check it out too. Historical fiction is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Great book. Great book. If you haven't read this, how have you not read this yet? This girl, she finds joy in stealing books It's like the 1940s, World War II, Germany. She has a Jew hiding in a Jewish person. I feel like saying a Jew is a little weird. I don't know. A Jewish person hiding in her basement, and she finds a joy in stealing books. And the whole book is narrated by death. This is a very heartfelt story. There's a movie. The movie was good too. It kind of, moves stuff around and all that, but that's what movies do. Gosh, yeah. I still remember just sitting up all night reading this. Great. Great, great, great. Next is historical thriller, Running Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I have two books by Margaret Peterson Haddix on here. She was a really big author for me back when I was a teen. But yeah, Running Out of Time. This story is about a young woman who is living in like the 1800s in a village, and she has to escape to go get, I think, some medicine, and everything about her world, her worldview changes. And this story does such a great job at the halfway mark of changing genres. It goes from historical fiction to like suspense thriller. It's a crazy genre switch, and it's so good. And later on, what is that movie director's name? Never mind. The guy who did the Avatar, like the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, he made a movie that was suspected of ripping this book off. There was kind of a controversy about that. Yeah. For horror, this one, I haven't read a lot of horror books, so this one, there might be better ones than this, but out of the ones that I've read, this is Another by Yukito Ayatsuji. There's a curse where people are dying in a kid's classroom and they're trying to figure out why. It's very simply written. Well, I read it translated, so that could be why. But the Japanese, they're just so good when it comes to horror stories. They're so creative. I love them for that. Yeah, there's not much to say about this one. There's a couple books in the series. It was also adapted into a live action and also an anime and a manga and a bunch of other things. But the actual novels are good. Literary fiction is next. I have read so much literary fiction, and this was really close. It was between this book, which is Sunburn by Chloe Howarth, or The Bell Jar. But while The Bell Jar is sorry, my throat's giving out. While The Bell Jar is a great depiction of depression, I think that Sunburn is better. It's just such a poetic, beautiful story about queer love. There's this village in Ireland, and this girl finds out that she loves her classmate, and she has to choose, is she going to go like follow her heart and be with the girl she loves, or is she going to like stick around and be with her family, who is very conservative and doesn't talk about queerness? And it's about, what does she choose? This book is so perfect. Oh gosh, I want to read it right now. Yes, every line is perfectly crafted. Read this book, you will not regret it. It is like a 5-star Michelin meal. It's gorgeous. Magical realism is next, and I picked The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. A lot of people were kind of hating on this book from what I've seen on Goodreads, saying that it's simplistic and yada yada yada, but this is another book that I just devoured. I read this book in one day, and it was what I needed at the time. It's kind of like a little bit self-help. It's simple writing, but it's fast-paced. I loved it. This, what is it? This girl, if I remember right, she attempts suicide, and then she kind of goes into this world in between, and she's in a library. Every book in the library is a life that she could have lived. So she's just exploring different possibilities of the lives, and then she realizes like, oh, they're like, yeah, okay, I there is something to live for and all that. And there's some controversy with this book, but I personally really enjoyed it, and hopefully you do too. Next is memoir, and my favorite is A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. A child, Dave himself, the author, is really abused as a child. And there's 3 books in this series, and it goes through his life up until adulthood and all that. And it kind of documents all of that and talks about it. This was a heavy book, a really heavy book. I remember reading it when I was 14, because without saying anything, I had a very tough life early on, and it was not nearly as bad as what Dave went through, but I did have some really bad things happen to me too. So when I read it, it was extremely cathartic. Just that was the first book that I read like this, where it was like a therapy session. And I remember my foster mom looking at me really weird, like, why are you reading this book? Like, you're way too young to and but it helped me. I'm glad I found it. It is dark though, so just be aware of that going into it. Yeah. Moving into something a little less serious is the genre monster romance. And my favorite is Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Niscosta. Oh my gosh. This millennial girl is overqualified, but she cannot find a job. So she warily takes this job at this pharmaceutical company where she has to milk minotaurs for an enzyme that's put into human medicine. And she ends up getting in a relationship with one of the minotaurs, and it's extremely wholesome. It's so cute. It's actually funny and decently written. This book is not what I thought it would be at all. It is extremely, like, sexually graphic. Like, holy crap. There are parts of this minotaur that I can just visualize, and I just do not want to. Yeah, but actually a fun time, a really good book, and will I be reading more monster romance? Probably not. I just read it out of curiosity, but this one I assume is at the top of the genre, like it's top tier for what you would expect from a genre like this. Moving on, still in the M's, we got mystery. And my favorite for the mysteries is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. Oh gosh, this autistic kid, he solves this mystery, and then it turns into more of a family drama at the end. There's really not a whole lot to say about the story. It's very quirky because it's, it kind of has like an autistic style to it because of the main character. I personally thought the story was misgenred when I read it, because there's a switch in the second half and it kind of threw me off. But it's all good. It's all good. It's a good story. It touches on parenthood and the struggles of being part of a weird family and things like that. It's been a little bit since I read it, but I still remember liking it a lot. Next is mythological fantasy, and I chose Circe by Madeline Miller. This book is a cottagecore masterpiece. It's perfect. It's a feminist retelling of Circe, a witch who was part of Odysseus' journey, and this is really delving into her life and giving her a complete, thorough examination about how she gets banished. She's one of the daughters of Helios, and she gets banished on an island. And it's about her becoming independent and strong and the struggles that she goes through. She's so resilient and magical, and yeah, this was great. This is a beautiful story, very well written. I love mythical fantasy. I love literary fantasy. This is definitely there. Yeah, I would read anything Madeline Miller writes just because her writing style is so poetic. It's like when she writes, it's like liquid gold just coming out of her pen. Next is new adult romance, and it's The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is another story that I read in one day. I don't know. I just needed it at the time. What is it? A This academic girl fake dates a hockey player, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's again super wholesome, a little steamy, and very quick read. Not a whole lot to say about it. It was good. There's multiple books in the series. You could read this in a couple hours. Yeah, surprisingly impressive. Next is paranormal romance. Yeah, you're probably gonna hate me for this, but my favorite is Twilight. There are other paranormal romances I've read, like Fallen and Shiver, but I think that Twilight is such a vibe. It's a mood with the dark woods and, you know, the Northwest and all of that. There's something about it that is cozy. Does that make sense? The movies even capture that aesthetic a little, uh, kind of okay with the gray green filter and all that. But there's just something about it. Their love story is also super cute. Like, come on. I know everybody hates on Twilight, but it's kind of adorable. Next is philosophical fiction, and it's The Egg by Andy Weir. This is a short story. You could read it in a couple minutes. It is super enlightening. Yeah, I can't say much about it. You just have to read it. A guy dies, he kind of meets God, and then God explains what's going on. And it can change you. It's a very quick read, but it can definitely change the way that you see the world. Next is political allegory. Animal Farm. Again, another one that really needs no explanation. You have a corrupt power system, you replace it with something else, but then that one that you replace it with also becomes corrupt. The pigs start taking over, they kill the horse. The horse is a metaphor for the working man, the pigs are the new leaders. Everyone is equal, but some are more equal than others. You know the whole thing. Great story. If you haven't read it, you probably should, because it seems like the world is slowly falling apart. So you should probably just read something about it, and this is a really easy way to do it because it's about farm animals. Next is political pamphlet, Common Sense by Thomas Paine. After I read this, I was just thinking to myself, is it okay that I have a crush on a guy who's been dead for over 250 years? Yes, Common Sense. It is an argument against why the US should not be controlled by Britain. Written in language that the common man, the farmers, the workers, they can understand, instead of the technical jargon of the elites. Yeah. It really is common sense. He basically says, people, are you really going to let some tiny island on the other side of the planet rule you? Come on, don't be dumb. And everybody was like, oh yeah, you're right. And then, it led to the Revolutionary War. Next is Popular Science, A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. He breaks down quantum physics, all of that, black holes, in a way that the average everyday person can easily understand. And he only uses one equation, E equals mc squared, so you don't have to get all technical in the weeds about this. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot so much about what was in this book. I don't remember much of it. I remember the impressive thing being just the obvious, learning that, there's fourth dimensions, there's length, width, height, but then there's also duration, because if you don't have duration, then you can't have anything existing, because in order to exist, it has to exist for a duration of time. So, like, kind of like time itself is the fourth dimension. Yeah. There was a bunch of interesting stuff, but I can't lie, I don't remember it. Sorry. Yeah. But if you're interested in that, please read this book. It was very accessible, and maybe you'll remember more than me. Next is post-apocalyptic horror, which is Swan Song by Robert McCammon. Wow. This book needs to be made into a very long TV series. Really weird side story. I read this book, and then I found out that my teacher read this book. And then I was randomly talking to my mom about this book, and she said, "Oh yeah, I read that book like 30 years ago or whatever." It was just like everybody has read this book. Oh my gosh. It is the apocalypse, and it follows like 5 different people, and they're all scattered over the place, and they all meet up at the end of the book, and it all deals with the devil and this girl who has the power to restore the world and have life grow back into the planet. Wow, this is another perfect book. I love this book so much. I bought it. I don't buy many books, but I bought this one. I have it down there. Gosh, it is glorious. Please read it. You will not regret it. Next is psychological drama, and my favorite is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Interesting book. Very important book, too. This woman, who, when she was a teenager, she had a forbidden affair with her teacher. Now, as an adult, some other woman has, come out and said, oh, that she was groomed by the teacher. So she has to grapple with herself, like questioning or coming to terms with the fact that she was also groomed. And she doesn't want to come to terms with that, because then that would make her a victim, and she doesn't want to feel weak. So she tells herself, it was consensual, everything was fine, I chose this, because that lets her feel powerful. But throughout the story, it's about her coming to terms with, okay, I was a kid, can't give consent, and maybe I was victimized, I was groomed. Great story. Totally, you should read it. It's disturbing, but it's powerful. It's a message that we need to hold on to protect the youth, the kids around us. Like, just, have those conversations, be aware of it. This was really big in the Me Too movement. I don't know if that's still going on. I don't follow the news, but if it is, and if you're interested in it, read this book. Next is psychological horror, and it's The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins. This was a tough one to read. This lady, she goes into a room for like resting for mental health reasons. I think this was back in the Victorian days. And she starts seeing a person hidden in the wallpaper moving around, and throughout the story she's slowly, I don't know how much to say about this story, but it's short and it's impactful, and it is very sad. It's very sad for me personally, just real quick, because my mom locked herself in her room, and over the course of a couple years, she went downhill and became insane. And it was very tough dealing with that and watching that happen to her, and I feel bad for her. I really do. And so this story kind of has a lot of similar imagery, even if the main message isn't exactly the same. Yeah. But it's creepy, and you should read it. Psychological thriller. The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Yeah. Yeah, this is another one. There's always these books that just grip you so hard that you stay up all night to finish them. This was one of those. It is a page turner. I don't know. Some thriller authors, they got the sauce. They got the secret sauce where once you open that book, you're not putting that book down until the story's done. I literally remember having work in the morning and I stayed up all through the night. Like I had my whole day, read the book all day, all night, and then went back to work. And I was just so tired. But yeah, I had to know what happened next. This girl is on a train and she sees something happen in a house. And she investigates. But this girl is a drunk and she makes bad decisions, so people don't believe her, and she's a very unreliable narrator. Is what she's seeing, is it actually happening, or is she just really freaking drunk? Stuff like that. Gosh, it's so good. Next is queer nonfiction. Gender Outlaws by Kate Bornstein. This offers a lot of different queer stories. This was written back in 1999, before like the modern discussions about queerness. Like, now it's all over the place, but it wasn't so much so in 99. And this book really delved into that, talking about how gender is not a cage, it is a playground. That instead of binding yourself to the binary, feel free to go out there and try all of these other gender identities to really find where you are. Like, you might not be where you think you are. Don't hold yourself back. There's, it's a playground. You can explore. Am I this? Am I that? Don't feel so confined to be stuck in the binary when maybe you're not. And if you are, that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. This book was given to me by my therapist. Yeah. I had my own gender adventure that lasted multiple years. And yeah, my therapist gave me that book for like required reading basically. And I learned a lot. Next is romance. Simple and clean, just the romance genre. My favorite out of this romance is The Long Road Home by Danielle Still. Gosh, she has written so many books. This one was dark. It is about... There is this woman who, as a child, she lived with a rich family and she went through horrible abuse, and as an adult, she goes through a betrayal and she has to realize that, oh, even though I did have a horrible life, I am still worthy of love. And it is a tragic and beautiful story. Another story that I remember my foster mom, she took the book out of my hands and she's like, "Why are you reading this?" I was like 15 at the time. She said, like, Danielle Still books are not for you. Okay. But it was insane. I remember just venting to my foster brother about the beginning of this book because it threw me so off guard. Yeah. Danielle Still is popular for a reason. Her books are actually good, heartfelt, and yeah, she can write one hell of a story. Science fiction is next. And my favorite is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Matar and Max Gladstone. I might have said that name wrong. I am so sorry. This is how you lose the time war. There is a time war, literally. Like, multiple dimensions, all that stuff. And these two super agents on opposite sides are constantly stopping each other's plans. These two, like, women who are just at the top of their game. And one day, one of them leaves the other one a letter, and they start talking to each other, leaving letters in the most weird and random and creative ways, like inside the rings of a tree and stuff like that. Just back and forth through time. and they eventually, you know, get to know each other. And this is a beautiful, beautiful story. It has a great ending. It's highly poetic. It's essentially just a series of love letters. Perfect book, literally perfect book. One of the few books that made me cry. I remember just I had to like tell my wife about this book for a hot hour. Yeah. Such a good book. Okay, next is sci-fi horror. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison. Extremely dark. So after World War III, there is a supercomputer called AM who has taken over the planet, killed all of humanity, and spared 5 humans. And AM spends their free time torturing these 5 humans constantly in ways unimaginable. And the story is essentially just about these 5 humans are trying to find food. And on their way to the food, every step that they take is worse than the last until the iconic, epic ending, the very last line. This book is. It has an audiobook that's narrated by the author itself. It's free on YouTube. Oh gosh. It is insane. It is very dark. It will give you nightmares if you read it right before you go to bed. It is perfect. I love it. We need more stories with this type of just insane energy. Next is self-help. Oh my gosh. I do not read many self-help books. I know. I need help. But the help I need isn't going to be found in a book. But the one that I picked is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I kind of liked it. There's some things I didn't like. There's some things I did. I like the blasé attitude of like, yeah, life sucks. What are you gonna do about it? You know, get used to not being important. Get used to failing. Get used to this. Get used to that, and then suck it up and like don't give a fuck. You know, and then you grow. And it's kind of nice to just have somebody tell you like, yeah, like it sucks out here, but you know, grow a backbone and yada yada yada. I don't know. Sometimes you just need to hear that. Next is speculative fiction. The Power by Naomi Alderman. Yeah, it is my favorite in the genre. It's a little hit and miss. So, suddenly, worldwide, all women have the power to have, you know, electricity come out of their hands and shock people, and it completely changes the gender dynamic all over the planet. You know, how does that go with women being so deadly all of a sudden? Do they go in power? Does it make the world any less corrupt, or is it just as corrupt as if men are in power? There are matriarchal societies around the world. There's like a couple of them, like 3 or 4 of them that I know of, and I'm pretty sure it's it can't be that much different than a patriarchal society, right? Like you could be a woman in power and be just as messed up as a man in power. Like you just have to be creative and find ways. I don't know. I have no idea. This book was hit and miss. It did not go far enough. And also, I mean, come on. This book acted like everybody was going to be corrupt. And like I live here in Sweden, and I feel like Swedes would not be corrupt at all. Like if the women here could just shock everybody, they're like Canadians in a way. They would just be like okay, like just, you know, try not to shock anybody. Go about your day. You know. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're almost done. Next is urban fantasy, and my favorite is Tithe by Holly Black. I've read most of Holly Black's books, and Tithe is great. It is very gritty, very grungy. It's about fairies in New York, or the New York, Boston area that I forget exactly where, New Jersey, you know. Yeah, it's super dark, super weird. The writing is a little rough. Her writing does improve so much by the time she gets to The Cruel Prince, but I like the grunginess. I like the. It's like. It's just dirty. Reading this book feels like you got dirt under your fingernails, you know? Check it out. Okay, so the next are all YA genres. We're finally in the Ys. YA Adventure. Holes by Louise Satcher. Satcher? Sackar? Yeah, you've probably seen the movie. This kid gets sent to a detention center and is forced to dig holes. And he finds out that the reason they're digging holes is for a treasure, and that treasure happens to be connected to his own family. Very interesting, very fun. I had to read it in school when I was a little kid, and the movie is great. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Next is YA Contemporary. Paper Towns by John Green. You know the trope with manic pixie girl, manic fairy pixie girl. Well, this is kind of like that. Boy meets girl, girl is super weird, girl moves away, boy goes on a road trip to find girl, boy realizes that girl is not the perfect manic girl that she seems like, that she is actually messed up and she has her own problems and stuff like that. That's basically it. It's just in that lovable, wholesome, quirky John Green style. Yeah. I don't read a lot of YA books anymore. It's so cliche. But now that I'm in my 30s, YA books just feel a little bit immature. I can't read about 15-year-olds just doing 15-year-old things anymore. I'm sorry. Like, I want to. Like, I always hop back into YA books, and then I'm just like, ooh, this kid is just kind of getting on my nerves with their quirky jokes. Like, I was just like that at their age, but now it's, gosh, I guess I've become a boring adult. Oh no. Next is YA Dystopian. Among the Hidden by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Please read this. It is great. This is the first novel that ever made me cry. I remember sitting in the back of the classroom, crying my eyes out, and I had to turn around and hide from the other students. There is a totalitarian government, and they only allow families to have 2 kids. Luke, the main character, he is a third child, so he has to stay hidden in the attic, and he's all alone, but then he realizes that the neighbor also has a hidden third child, Jen. So Luke and Jen, they kind of become friends. And this goes off into a whole series. It is glorious. It is dark. It is very sad. At least the first book. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, it's been a while since I read it. I wonder what I would think about it now. But this book, this whole series just has my heart. Like, I would love it regardless. Even if I reread it and it was bad, I would still love it. YA Paranormal Romance. Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. Yeah, this is kind of a classic story. It's just this girl falls in love with this bad boy Patch, and he turns out to be a fallen angel, and this book does some things differently with angel lore. It's very straight to the point. One good thing about this story is the main character, Nora, she has a best friend, a side character, but she's written extremely realistically. Like, she has tons of personality. It's not just like some bland side character that's there, for the sake of bouncing ideas off of. Like, she is full of sass, she's strong. Yeah, she's great. This is a good story. Yeah, there's honestly not a whole lot to say about it. It's kind of average for the genre, but it is my favorite out of the genre. Next is YA Psychological Thriller, and it is Stolen by Lucy Christopher. Oh gosh. Okay, so 16-year-old girl gets kidnapped at an airport and gets trafficked or whatever all the way to Australia. And she has to live in the outback with the person who kidnapped her. She starts getting Stockholm syndrome. And this story is written, I think, in second person perspective. It's all written in the form of a very long letter. And yeah, this is a great one for discussion. It has a twist ending. The whole area of Australia is very detailed. The way it's written, it kind of becomes a character of its own. Very well done. I like the story a lot. This is one of those YA books that even now, much later, I'm just like, this is just such a good book. Like, I don't know why this wasn't made into a movie or something. It's so well done. Okay, YA realistic fiction. Identical by Ellen Hopkins. Ellen Hopkins is controversial because some say that she wrote the crack books using her own daughter's drug problem. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's kind of fucked up. But regardless, Identical is just such a good book. It's written in poetry, and there's a cool twist, and I can't say anything else about it, to be honest. But it's just about these twins and their struggles in life, and it goes back and forth in between each of their perspectives. I can't say anything else about this book, but it's like, please read it. It's good. It's like, I'm recommending it. All right, we got 3 more. YA romance. Flipped by Wendelin van Dranen. I think it's pronounced Dranen. This is one of those books I read as, it was in junior high school. So it's been a long time since I read it. So this is definitely for a younger audience. It is about this boy and this girl who, they like each other, and every chapter is the same event. Okay, so like, it'll have an event from the boy's perspective, and then it'll have the same event from the girl's perspective. So it's flipped. But it's also flipped because towards the end of the book, their perspectives on life and stuff like that kind of flips. I remember it being cute. I remember a decent metaphor using a sycamore tree. I don't remember too much about this, but I remember liking it enough that it's still stuck with me all the way till now. So maybe if you want to try something like that, Flipped is one for you. Okay, YA thriller. The Cabin by Natasha Preston. This is a whodunit story. A bunch of teenagers are in a cabin, and they go to sleep and they wake up and one of them is dead, and they all know that the killer is one of them right there in the room. So there's a lot of, like, I don't have to explain it. I'm sure you can just imagine it, right? Everybody's lying to each other, everybody's forming groups, everybody's suspicious. Yeah, classic, simple story, but really well done, and I like it. I almost wouldn't even put this in the YA category, but it kind of has to be because all of the characters are like teenagers, so it is a YA book, but it doesn't really feel like it. It felt pretty mature. And last but not least is YA urban fantasy, and my favorite is Angel Fire by Courtney Allison Moulton. This is kind of a power fantasy, right? This girl finds out that she's a warrior and she fights supernatural creatures, and there's a whole series. I only read the first 2 in the series. I don't know why I stopped. Yeah, but this is a very kick-ass book with a kick-ass girl, and it's action-packed. It was well written. It was intriguing. I should probably finish the series. I don't remember why I stopped. But yeah, if you just want something fast-paced and cool, then this is definitely it. anyways, yeah, that is what, 56 books, something like that. Um, you should definitely read them, and I hope you do. You don't have to, obviously, duh, but I hope you do. I hope you read all of them, and I hope you love all of them, and I hope you have 56 new, just top tier favorite books that you can't stop talking about. And yeah, well, there's not a whole bunch left to say. If you think that there's a better book for any of these genres, please tell me, because obviously I'm always looking for new books to read. And yeah, other than that, I hope you're doing well. I hope your day's going well. And take it easy. Don't be too tough on yourself. I know life can be hard. And yeah, have a good day.